Bruce, back in the Stanley Cup Final, is this the best team you've ever coached?
Boy, that's a good question. I think it is, top to bottom. I think there's been some years in Boston we might have had a more dominant line or maybe a deep pair, but at the end of the day, top to bottom. And we'll find out this next series, right?
There's one thing I remember you saying. I can't remember if it was the morning of Game 7 in 2019, but I think it was. You said, I just want my name on that damn cup. I've always remembered that.
Yes, and that's getting closer, right? And that's my goal. I want my name in the damn cup is true. There was a lot of questions about this and that, right? Game 7 and pressure, not pressure, enjoying the moment. And I think that's the only thing I was focused on. And I think the players would probably say the same. Some of them had it in our room, which I think will help us. Mm-hmm. Others want it that have been there like me, that, especially here in Vegas. So that's what's in front of us.
Is it possible, because I know how hard you work and how many hours you put in and how you don't want the foot off the pedal. Has it been possible at all through this journey to take a step back and enjoy yourself through all of it? Or is that an impossible?
No, it's a good point. And I have, that's maybe one of the differences from last time. Which days to be business-like and which days to allow yourself to dream a little bit, so to speak. We talked about that with our group actually the night before the Dallas game, a little bit about what's at stake, and it's okay to think about that, and think about maybe your legacy in hockey sometimes. These things can define you as a hockey player, never as a person, but as a hockey player. And the next day you drill down on the details. So I think that's how we've tried to balance the big picture. And then the day of a game, okay, here's the details that'll help us, get to where we want to go. And whether that was right or wrong, we've kind of looked at it at that approach this year. And I think in my first go around, it was all still new to me, like the playoff runs, the media demands, the different times for practice. They're changing your practice time. All these things change all of a sudden, so your routine gets thrown off a little bit, and how to adjust to some of those things.
What's a Bruce Cassidy day off look like?
I'm usually driving my kids somewhere. They both like to golf now, so here in Vegas, that's a good thing.
Oh, very good.
It's typically during the winter, they both play hockey, son and daughter, so that's going to a rink here where the Henderson Silver Knights play, so I'm out there a lot, baseball practice. I like to go to my kids' activities because it takes me out of my activities in my head, like, thinking about hockey. So it's kind of just really, takes you away, and just be around kids. It's kind of loosens the mood quite a bit.
Have either of your children or any of your children surpassed you as a golfer yet?
No. Cole is a good player. My daughter's just getting into it, but he's got a ways to go. That's golf is my passion away from, like in the summer, right?
How dare you suggest one of my kids could be better than me?
Not happening, Elliotte.
Not ready to snatch the pebble.
No, it seems like guys either fish or play golf because of our off season being in the summer, and I chose golf.
Jack Eichel has played so well for you. It's just flat out spectacular. Game 1, though, of the playoffs, by his admission, anyone who's followed Jack Eichel, not a Jack Eichel game. Was there any, did you talk to him after that game? Was there any need to talk to Eichel after game 1?
If I did, it was very basic. There's no big message if that's kind of where you're going. Listen, we had a lot of we weren't very good as a team, and he was just part of that product. And we sort of say, okay, it's time now. And then the next game, we got to our game, and Jack was a big reason for that. But remember, Mark Stone just came back, and we did not know if he'd play game 1 at all, game 2, the next series. So I think there was a little bit of that, almost like, oh, well, Stoney's back in the lineup, and meanwhile he hasn't played in 3 months. So we sort of say, hey, we got to collectively, get to our own individual levels. And I think that certainly happened with Jack right away. And in fairness to him, it's his first playoff game ever. There's going to be a little bit of probably anxiety, if nothing else, what's this all about?
One of the things I really wanted to ask you about is you give some of the most detailed breakdowns and answers in interviews. I remember in 2019, you pulled your goalie in the Stanley Cup Final with 5 seconds left in the period, and you did a whole breakdown on, we tried this. I love it. I know Ron in particular has remarked a lot about how detailed you are. A lot of coaches wouldn't be like that. Why? Like, I love that you do it. Like, this. Why do you do it? I guess.
Well, I like to talk hockey for one, and I don't believe there's a lot of secrets. I think there's guys that don't want to. It's like they know something you don't. I just don't feel like I'm that guy. I think everything I say is probably they're watching film and know some of this stuff, and if not, well, shame on me. But I just feel like I just feel there's so many good coaches in this league that a lot of this stuff is already out there. If you choose to talk about it or not, I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well, but so I don't think it's any big secret what I'm revealing now. Sometimes I've been told, well, you can, you don't have to talk so much. I'm like, well, I can't help it. I asked a question and I have a tough time. I'm not very good at stick handling around. I'm just not a politician yet in that regard. So I'd rather just answer the damn question and talk hockey. And that's just what I've always done.
Don't change.
Well, I was going to say, we like it better that way. I think a lot of people like it better that way. Okay, let's see where I can get to on this one. Where do you think the Stanley Cup which zone do you think the Stanley Cup Final will be won in?
Well, it's interesting because I would say in the slot battle. So you've got, the slot battle in each zone, depending where the puck is. I think the team that controls the neutral zone, is always going to have an edge because you're forechecking, you're getting to your game. I think both teams forecheck well, but if we get away from that, I think the slot battle will determine the Stanley Cup.
Can I ask you about Boston?
Sure.
Okay, we all go through it. I've been fired before. I think the one thing I thought, like, there were some tough things said about you or about the situation there. Did it bother you? Does any of you feel like this is revenge?
Well, I don't feel it's revenge, and some of it did bother me. I got hired by Golden Knights to do a job quickly, and they've been nothing but fantastic. So for me, it's more about, getting your head where your feet are and going back to work. Because as you said, the end is always, you're on the clock the day you're hired, so you know that it's coming eventually. There was some of the narrative I didn't appreciate or feel was accurate. I just sometimes feel like, hey, you didn't win enough. We're going to new voice, whatever is usually sufficient, and move on. But it's a sports market in media and talk radio, so there's going to always be conversations there. So eventually it kind of goes away, and you just do your job. Now, I happen to have a house in Cape Cod in the summer. I have kids from New England, so going back would have been, is something we'd like to always do because their roots there. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But at the end of the day, everyone is good about it there. I get great neighbors, great people there that I've met that are, hopefully they treat you as a person more than a Bruin, right? Because, like I've always said, I'll always have Bruins will always be part of me. It was my favorite team growing up. But now with the Golden Knights success, to get to the second part of it, it feels good to be able to kind of prove yourself in a different market now and sort of put that behind you and try to remember it as a great experience, because it was. I really cut my teeth in coaching there, and probably established myself as a legitimate coach, and it happened in Boston.
Let me try another word, because I kind of feel that there is a symmetry between yourself and Jack Eichel, because when Eichel was moved from Buffalo to Vegas, and even before when he was still in Buffalo, there were a lot of things that were said about Jack Eichel, and he heard them and internalized them and has used it for fuel, as you have as well. Maybe not revenge, but do you feel you're vindicated just by getting to the Stanley Cup Final?
Maybe there's a little bit of that although I had confidence in my ability to coach, I thought I did a good job in Boston. As I said, if I looked at it more as, like they need a new voice, that's fine. And Pete DeBoer was a very good coach, and I'm taking over from a guy that did a good job too. So that's kind of the circle of life in coaching, I think. But with Jack, when I met with him, it's funny, I met with him in July. I talked about that. I think we're tied together here, Jack. We're coming in kind of in very similar situations. Yeah. So what can we do together to move this forward a little bit? What do you need from me? Here's what I'm expecting. These will be the asks, and we'll sort through it as I get to know you. What do you need from me? And let's make sure we come together on these things, because I think we're going to be tied together with success or failure of the Vegas Golden Knights. So it's ironic that you'd mentioned that, but I do believe that.
That's awesome. That's an awesome answer. Good luck, Bruce.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.